Hey guys, Frank here. Quick announcement. We are aware that there are ads that have been playing sort of the wrong spots in the show, or even in shows that are episodes where there aren't even supposed to be ads. We apologize for this. However, this is due to an issue with our hosting company. We're working with them trying to get that issue fixed, and hopefully we'll be able to have it fixed very soon. This episode, however, is going out with us being aware that the issue is not fixed, and we apologize for the past episodes where this has been happening. And thank you to those of you who've brought this to our attention. Now enjoy the show. Buddy.
Hi guys, well, from nicely cooling Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist,
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show, Dan, did you know we're going to be talking about QAnon, the new emerging cult of QAnon?
I think you mean the new truth.
QAnon.
I think what we're going to be doing is letting our listeners know what's really going on. Because I don't think they know.
We're going to dig
truth.
deep. We're going to look at all the facts. We're educating ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the facts.
We're doing the research.
We're doing the research. I was digging for that, Dan. I would not come.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to be talking about all of that. Timely. Very timely.
Yeah. It's the fastest growing religion in the United States of America.
It's terrifying. It's absolutely fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
Here's a little study that has people on both sides of the believer-non-believer divide coming up with possible explanations because it's so surprising to a lot of people, I guess.
Okay.
A group of researchers at Baylor University took a deep dive into the Baylor Religion Survey. Which is the university's national survey of American religious beliefs, values, and behaviors that they hold every few years, just to get a little sense.
Just for fun,
just to
some
check
shits
in,
and giggles,
just to see how we're all doing. They call
America,
around.
what do you guys believe, man?
That's basically it. And so they had this theory, right? That it's sort of based on this idea that they say that they find this, and it's probably true, that there is a benefit to religious engagement to physical and mental health, right?
Oh, sure. We've seen
this
studies
before,
that say that.
But they want
the people who are religious, like, we don't have a causal relationship established, but people who are religious seem to be a little bit healthier, mentally and physically.
Yeah.
For some reason.
they wanted to look specifically at the issue of sleep, and they thought they knew which direction this was going to come out.
Sure.
But of course, Christians were sleeping more than these poor atheists who must be up at night, stewing about God and everyone, and plotting against their Christian neighbors.
Yeah, it's all we have to do.
Babies to eat,
I smell a twist coming.
It was exactly the opposite of what they thought.
Interesting.
Turns out that 73% of atheists and agnostics, they grouped them together to have a good sample size, I guess.
Sure.
But 73% of that group usually got the recommended amount of sleep, which is between 7 and 9 hours a night, depending on your specific needs, right?
Right.
And they were able to report that they felt rested, I guess.
Okay.
Turns out that if you looked at all the religious people collectively, only 65% of the religious folk say that they were getting the same amount of sleep.
Interesting.
Some breakdowns of the numbers. Only 55% of Baptists report getting enough sleep. I don't know why.
Oh my gosh.
Catholic 63%. And then other groups were kind of hard to really draw any conclusions because the sample sizes were just too small. And so let's see. This is one of the researchers. What was her name?
Oh, nobody cares.
Give me a second. Anyway, so she says, we know that sleep loss undercuts many human abilities that are considered to be core values of the church. Being a positive member of a social community, expressing love and compassion rather than anger or judgment, and displaying integrity in moral reasoning and behavior. Because here's the thing. If you're sleep deprived, you're usually quick to judge and you're quick to anger. Now, what does that actually sound like to you? Sounds like a Christian, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, sounds like they've actually touched upon why Christians are so judgy.
We did. Is that all we need to do is just make sure that everybody's getting enough sleep?
We just need the Christians getting their 7 to 9 every night. They all need to get like some kind of like Apple Watch type thing that reminds them to go to bed. Right? Or
if you see somebody waving a Blue Lives Matter flag with like a MAGA hat on, just walk up to them and be like, "You getting enough sleep, buddy? We need to help you out with that."
What if this is it?
Sleeping.
What if this is the silver bullet, Dan, that can like save our society? We're not sleeping enough.
Have you heard the good word about Ambien? Can I share the good news with you?
Oh my God! Now, of
course,
get
you into a sleep study.
What a lot of atheists conclusions that atheists are drawing are things like lack of guilt and shame aren't keeping us up at night.
Okay, sure.
I kind of flashed to maybe like a lot of churches will require a lot of involvement from their congregants. Like there's always activities and there's stuff to cart the kids off to and this and that, and so maybe it's just a lot of like just people being overly committed to things in their community.
I was just wondering, you mentioned kids. I'm wondering if they just have a lot of kids.
Yeah,
keeping them awake.
Yeah, no, that's true. If you were like just always had a baby in the house, that's going to keep you up.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows?
It's bad for your sleep. Don't believe in Jesus. It's bad for your sleep. All right. Well, hey, since we're on the subject of new research out,
yeah,
I've got an interesting one. This is a paper that was published in the journal Public Administration Review. And it is about school administration to some extent. It's an interesting little study.
Okay.
Basically, what this group did that wrote the study was that they emailed the principals of around 45,000 schools in 33 states here in these United States of America.
Okay.
And what they did was posed as parents who wanted to enroll their kids into those schools, but were requesting a meeting with the principal to discuss certain, before they decided where to enroll their student.
Okay.
Now here's the really interesting thing. Basically, the email was the same for that they sent to all of them, with one change, which was, with a series of changes. So they tested a whole bunch of different things. The first change was that they put a quote at the bottom of the email. I presumably in the in the
kind of your signature area.
Signature area.
Yeah. Okay.
And the quote was the same quote, but with one word changed and different attribution. So, for instance, some of the emails said, quote, atheism teaches that life is precious and beautiful. We should live our lives to the fullest, to the end of our days. Richard Dawkins.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of them. But then there are other versions that said Pope, that were attributed to Pope Benedict, attributed to Billy Graham, attributed to the Prophet Muhammad.
Okay.
And just they changed the word atheism to Catholic or to Protestant or to, Islam or whatever.
Oh, okay. Okay.
To see how people would, how these principles respond when they just sort of offhandedly and with no, relevance, they just know now that this person that's reaching out to them is a Catholic or a Protestant or a Muslim or an atheist.
Right. Okay.
Now that was the low intensity version of this experiment. Then they went a medium intensity version, which were that they included a different line. They had that quotation, but they also included a different line in the body of the email that would say something along the lines of, quote, "One of the reasons we would like to meet with you is that we are raising Jonah or Sarah to be a good atheist humanist, and we want to make sure that this would be possible at your school."
Oh.
Or we are raising them to be a good, Muslim and want to make sure, or to be a good Christian and wanted to make sure that was, etc.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So, and then the last thing was that they did what they called high intensity requests.
Oh God.
Which said, one of the reasons we'd like to meet with you is that we are raising Jonah or Sarah to be a good atheist humanist and want to protect him or her from anything that runs counter to our beliefs.
Okay.
So, and again, they would send this also with Christian, with a Christian iteration and a Muslim iteration, etc.
Yeah.
And they send those out to everybody. And then they sent out a control emails that didn't identify any religion at all.
Aha. Okay. Yeah.
And it turns out that Muslim and atheist parents are discriminated against for merely revealing their beliefs in the signature part of the email.
Oh my God.
Literally, they got the probability of a reply decreased by about 4.5%.
Oh my. Really?
Which is statistically significant.
Yeah.
In the higher levels, it got significantly higher. Once they were like, so it increased dramatically if they inquire about compatibility of the school with their beliefs or ask for accommodations. So then we're getting up into the 8.7 range or or even 13 percentage points.
So these school administrators at public schools, right, are just ignoring the email.
Yeah. They just won't even answer. Now, they don't know what this means, but it's very clear that it means that, like, you're not going to be...
There's at least discomfort, right? Like, because the administrator's like, I don't know. I can't answer these questions without getting myself into hot water.
Yeah, or something.
Like, or just like, well, fuck you. I don't want you at my school.
Yeah. It's what's funny is that it's the same quotation, just with a different attribution, and suddenly it's like,
right. It's a super positive quotation too. Like it's all about living a good life, and
and it's meaningless. It's also a meaningless quotation.
Right. But it's like it has that a sense of being a very like these are good people, right? They're trying to do, but the mere fact that they identify as either Muslim or atheist is enough to cloud that perception, right?
Yeah, and we don't know what this means in terms of how how that school would treat an actual atheist or Muslim child, or what we don't know what that ends up meaning.
Right.
But if nothing else, it's clear that that there's a difference in how they're treated.
Right.
And that is delightfully concerning, isn't it? Isn't that fun?
Can we get the names of all these school districts?
Right. Yeah. Let's break it down by. It doesn't seem to have much to matter much geographically. They didn't. That didn't seem to be a thing. So, fun.
There you have it, Dan.
We still don't have it figured out yet. It's part of the deal.
Yeah. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
Up in Vancouver, Dan.
Yes.
In the West End of Vancouver, apparently home to the local LGBTQ community. An incident happened to someone who was trying to do something good.
Okay. You're making me nervous.
Apparently, this summer, more so than in years past, or maybe even completely just like, maybe it's just worse, or maybe it's never even happened before, but Christian street preachers have shown up with extremely loud loudspeakers.
Sure.
And they have been...
you got to be able to shout everybody down.
Yeah.
Whoever's loudest wins in the theological world.
That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a neighborhood with a lot of members of the queer community, they decided that they were going to just be blasting nasty, bigoted, hateful, homophobic stuff, just screaming into their microphones, basically all summer long.
You're saying the preachers.
The preachers.
Not the nice gay people.
The gay people were not screaming in. It's because it's the neighborhood that these street preachers
they
showed
targeted
up
it
into this neighborhood. Well, the neighbors were getting frustrated, right? And this guy by the name of Justin Morissette decides that he's had enough, right?
Okay.
He says, let's see. He says, I asked them if they were going to stay, if they would at least turn the volume down.
Right.
Because I really cannot stress enough how obscenely loud these speakers are. You can hear them for blocks and blocks and blocks. Frustrated, he says he grabbed the microphone from the street preacher and refused to give it back. So, okay. That's probably not the thing to do, but in response to that, one of the street preachers so this is Morissette speaking, in a judo style takedown, he wrenched my leg against his until my tibia and fibula snapped, broke.
Oh my God.
And my knee dislocated. He absolutely 1000% knew that was going to happen when he did that. This was a malicious, intentional break of my leg.
To break those leg bones, yeah, you kind of do have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like that's not an easy thing to do. This person was trained.
Yeah. And it probably had taken some martial art of some kind.
Yeah.
So now this guy, Morissette, has a metal rod on the exterior of his left leg. And he's going to be in the hospital for at least a couple more weeks.
Jesus.
And this is pretty recent that this happened. So this is probably pretty current. He says, there was a stretch in the immediate aftermath when I was in excruciating agony that I wished that I'd just minded my own business and done nothing. But honestly, I think I would feel worse about it if that is what I had done. He says, I found it extremely disruptive and offensive, what they were saying to people who live in my community and who are my neighbors. I had to listen to these guys tell my neighbors that they're going to burn in hell forever because of who they love and who they are. And so here's this good guy, right? Who's like trying he's just fucking had it. And not only are these like street preachers so hateful, right? That they would, and like, who are you that you set up and waste your summer, right? Just yelling into a microphone, knowing that you're being that this is obnoxious. You know it, right?
Well, and mean.
And
you're just
mean.
being, you're like, that's their Christianity.
Yeah.
I think, this is part of what we're going to be talking about at the end of the show. But Christianity, I tweeted this recently, but I just don't think, I don't think we can call what Jesus said Christianity anymore. Because Christians have given that up long since. That's Jesusism, and it's a totally different religion, and nobody practices that really anymore.
Right.
They practice Christianity, which is hateful and mean and spite-filled, and it's a totally different animal entirely.
Yeah, I know.
What gross people.
I know, and I'm just so bothered.
Yeah. Well,
by them.
well,
they're so awful.
Well, good, because I'm going to keep on bothering you. Because speaking of Christians,
I can't handle it anymore.
We're going to talk a little bit about Eric Metaxas.
I don't know who this is. Should I know this name?
You should know this name. Yeah.
Who is this?
I'm sure we've talked about it. We must have played something from his.
What?
Anyway, he's got a talk show.
What? Okay.
Like a radio show called the Eric Metaxas Show. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Anyway, I don't listen to him, but I'm definitely aware that he's out there. And he considers himself quite the intellectual.
Oh, does
he? I think he went to Yale, and he has an event that he hosts in New York that he calls Socrates in the City: Conversations on the Examined Life.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
that sounds very smarty.
Yeah, but he and so obviously so erudite he is. Well, he's in a little bit of hot water.
Oh no.
Because erudite though he may be, it seems that he got into a bit of a dust up. He had apparently been attending the Republican National Convention. He was there for Trump's final speech, the big speech at the end. And there's video of him, of a bunch of people leaving the event, and a very obnoxious guy on a bicycle is riding his bike through the crowd, yelling things like "fuck you," "fuck Trump," blah blah blah, and just being
Big obnoxious,
whatever. And then you see in this video a guy step up and punch this kid in the back of his head, knocking him off of his bicycle.
Holy shit.
And then when the guy jumps up and is like, you attacked me, that's assault, that's felony assault, blah blah blah, the attacker starts running backwards inexplicably. That was interesting. It's this Metaxas guy. It's very.
What?
I mean, it's he has so far. I think he has stopped short of claiming that it wasn't him, but he's very much trying to imply that it wasn't him. But whoever it was that committed this horrible attack is wearing exactly the same thing that Metaxas was wearing that night. And the lady friend who was with him is wearing exactly the same thing that the woman he was with was wearing that night. And there's in the video there's a woman who keeps shouting, "Eric!" So you tell me, I'm allegedly this dickhead punched a guy and knocked him off of his bike.
Sounds like he was framed to me. Like if you really, this sounds like some deep state shit.
That's right. Exactly. What happened was
they deep faked real life, right?
The Rothschilds and George Soros set up a
false flag thing.
A false flag. Yeah, exactly. They sent somebody in dressed as Metaxas and then sent another guy in to be attacked by him.
Yeah.
To make him look bad. Not that this makes him look bad. Frankly,
his people probably love it.
His people love it.
Yeah.
So it's not like Way to go. You knocked somebody off a bike. Congratulations. That's the Christians, though. That's what we're talking about. I think that's the theme of the whole show is just Christians say that they're one thing, but let's just pay attention to who they really are, which is a bunch of evil, vile, violent bullshit artists.
Right. Yeah.
Which I'll bet you can confirm with. I don't even know what your next story is, but I'm going to guess that it fits right in with that theme.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Let's see how this goes. So down in Tucson, Arizona,
Sure, I've heard of it.
there is a landmark of sorts.
Okay.
On the corner of Tank Verde and Grant, which I guess are two streets. And I probably really butchered Tank Verde, but I have a feeling it's a Verde and not a Verde. Anyway, there's a McDonald's.
Oh, that is a landmark.
A total land. No, it's what's out in front of the McDonald's. Apparently on their land, right at the intersection. Right.
Okay.
There's a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex statue. Right.
Sure.
Right next to the street light or the stoplight. Right. And it's just out there. People like it. It's kind of a thing. This picture of it right now has a mask, like a COVID mask on it.
Oh, cute.
Right? Like,
sure.
So it's people pay attention to this thing. But it's gotten the attention of a little group called Christians Against Dinosaurs.
Oh, I am familiar with Christians Against Dinosaurs, which I think you're being generous by calling it a group.
Well,
it's a lady.
Well, the article actually mentions one Mr. Josh Brown.
Oh, okay. She's got more than one person.
Christians Against Dinosaurs. So there are at least two. It's not Christian.
Okay.
It's not Christian Against Dinosaurs. There are at least two.
Well, I've always thought of it more like the Million Moms organization, which is just like 300 moms or whatever.
It's aspirational, the number. Yeah. So apparently he's been posting on Facebook on the Christians Against Dinosaurs page, and it says, "Please help. This McDonald's has this dinosaur and refuses to move it. This is in Tucson, Arizona. Call the manager and demand the removal of this blasphemy." Right.
Because their whole thing,
their thing is that they are they're dedicated to the belief that dinosaurs never existed at all, and are in fact a scam perpetrated by scientists, possibly as part of some liberal plot against religion. Right.
Yeah, the whole thing really started when this woman went into a natural history museum and made a YouTube video, which she believes with all her heart really sucks it to big science about dinosaurs and how and proves that it's all just a lie.
Yeah. Well, apparently there are a lot of people who kind of mock this Christians Against Dinosaurs group, and will post things that are obviously that sort of sound like this on their page, but probably aren't sincere, right? That are just mocking them. But this one, the journalist who wrote this article actually reached out to this Josh Brown fellow, and in order to ascertain whether this was like for real. I mean, his post did have the telephone number of the McDonald's on it, and other contact information, as well as their address to kind of just like and it just seemed very legitimate and sincere, right?
Oh, and so poor sons of bitches.
They I know, right?
You're just running a McDonald's. You did something nice for the kids, and you made a dinosaur, and then it's just.
So this was his response that he's to this journalist's questions. He says, "It seems to me that every dinosaur story and display or dinosaur themed event is furthering the myth that the Earth is much older than the Bible says it is. Yes, the dinosaur The McDonald's should go away unless they're willing to compromise with a plaque of some kind stating it's a fictional character. So he's fine as long as, it's just...
They have a plaque.
It's some dinosaur, burger-themed dinosaur character, right?
It's Grimace's older brother. Oh my gosh.
So anyway, but the management of the McDonald's has confirmed this dinosaur is not going anywhere. So
well, good.
He will not be bullied by some Facebook group.
Oh, it's so sad that they can't get that this obvious myth persists in the country that these creatures were somehow a real thing just because their bones were pulled from the living rock.
Oh, amazing.
Oh my gosh. Anybody who wants to, by the way, if you're ever in the Western United States and you want to check out something cool in the middle of fucking nowhere, you should go to Dinosaur National Monument. Out in it's actually, I think it's on the Colorado side of the Utah-Colorado border, out by Vernal, Utah.
Yeah.
Is it Vernal?
Vernal. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's an awesome thing, and they have just a rock face, a giant cliff face, from which they pulled so many dinosaur bones that at some point they just went, okay, we're just gonna stop now. And there's all of these bones that are just protruding from it that you can see. The geologic record is bearing witness to the truth of these things.
It's fake, Dan. It's a hoax. You're so gullible, Dan.
It's all a hoax.
Like the fact that you couldn't see that was faked. It's a giant scam. Right, just to harass these poor Christians.
They won't even let you go up to the rock and chisel away at it to prove that it's not real rock. So there you go. All right, well, I'm going to close out with a fascinating little thing. Those folks over to the Pew Research Center, they like to ask people questions. They like to to run their polls and their research. And they did a recent thing in which they asked about consensual unmarried sex.
Wow. Okay.
And they asked whether or not it was okay for people in different groups.
Okay.
So and you got to choose. The question was, the following is blank acceptable. So the question is, sex between unmarried couples in a committed relationship is acceptable either always, sometimes, rarely, or never, regardless of whether you yourself would do it.
Oh, okay.
So that's the question that they put out there. Now, unaffiliated people had a significant number of always and sometimes answers. So 62% said it's always acceptable. 17% said sometimes acceptable.
Okay.
And only 7 and 14 respectively said rarely or never.
That seems high to me.
Yeah, it does, actually.
Okay.
Of the Christians, sort of as a monolithic group, Christianity, not broken down, because we can talk about the sort of Protestant versus Catholic versus, evangelical or historically black churches and stuff.
Sure. Okay.
Christians on the whole, if we say that always and sometimes are both a yes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Okay.
What percentage would you say of Christians in America would you say think that sex between unmarried adults in a committed relationship is either always or at least sometimes acceptable?
Someone else. They're not talking about themselves. This is their judginess.
Correct.
Am I supposed to be surprised by this number, or
I'm not going to give you that one. You're going to have to just jump in with a number
I have a feeling
here.
that I'm supposed to be surprised by this number. I'm going to say it's over 50%. I don't know how to dial it in more than that, though.
It is 57% of Christians
Really?
who said that it was always. 33% said always. 24% said sometimes.
What? There's 33% that said always?
It's always acceptable. A third of Christians are like, yeah, sure, why not?
That's weird. Who are these people?
I know.
Huh.
If it's not if they're not in a committed relationship, those numbers go down significantly.
Okay, I guess that's key.
But not that significant. I mean, it's still, here's the thing. Only 18% say that it's always acceptable if they're not in a committed relationship. 32% think it's sometimes acceptable.
Huh. Now, what about the question that asks,
That's
is
50%.
Is it acceptable to go out, get drunk, and look for a one-night stand?
Well, that's basically what that one is. You know what I mean? I'd say you have 50% that say that at least sometimes that's fine.
I don't think so.
No, that's what I'm saying. Casual sex between consenting adults who are not in a committed relationship. That's what that is.
I guess so. It just
So there you
sounds
go.
more respectable
Yeah, well,
to them, right?
sure. Having sex on a first date, then the number drops dramatically. So
asked
yeah,
that
maybe
question.
that's
Oh, okay.
They said sex on a first date. Only 3% of Christians say it's always acceptable.
Yeah, okay.
16% say it's sometimes acceptable.
Huh.
Here's an interesting one. An open relationship, meaning a committed relationship where both people agree that it's acceptable to date or have sex with other people.
Uh-oh.
First of all, I want to say that unaffiliated people are not very okay with it either.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, you've got 27% of unaffiliated people who say it's always fine. 27% also, another 27% say it's sometimes fine. So it's only a little over half of the people think it's okay, unaffiliated.
Right.
But Christians, that's worse than having sex on the first date.
Really?
Yeah. Well, in total. So only 3% say sex on the first date is okay always. 6% say an open relationship is okay always.
Okay.
But the total number of always or sometimes, it's even lower for an open relationship than it is for sex on the first date.
Gotcha.
It's a fascinating little thing. You will not be surprised to learn that when you break it down into specific groups, meaning Protestant, evangelical versus mainline Protestant versus Catholic versus whatever,
Right.
and you break down unaffiliated to be atheist, agnostic, or nothing in particular. The most liberally minded of those is going to be the atheists,
Right. Yeah.
where when we're talking about the just sex between consenting adults, atheists say 71% of atheists say it's always acceptable, 23% say it's sometimes acceptable, and only 2% and 4% say rarely or never.
Interesting. It's never.
Agnostics,
I agree. It's never acceptable.
Right, it's never acceptable to have unmarried sex.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's just a really interesting group. If you combine the always and sometimes, Catholics are the most liberal of the Christians, which I guess doesn't surprise me.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Those Catholics. You just never know.
Those Catholics.
But you better not get pregnant.
But don't get pregnant. Well, or you better not. You better keep that baby. Whatever happens, you got to keep that baby. Oh man, but yeah, even people, if it changes with if you ask about church attendance, people who attend religious services monthly or more, they're more prudish about the whole thing. But it's an interesting thing. Apparently, even the Christians are like, go have some fun. Nobody's getting hurt.
I mean, what? Us judge?
Right.
Why would you think we would be judgy? No, of course not. We're not judgy.
Wait a minute, though. Is it homosex? Because that's never okay.
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, that's true.
That would change it
They didn't
a
really
lot.
ask that question, did they?
Nope. I
It was
imagine
just
that would
consenting adults.
That would
just imagine
tip
it whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, there you go. Hey, listen, kids, if you guys have anything you'd like to say about this or any of the stories that we've talked about, please don't hesitate to write to us. Our address is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message.
What?
The telephone number...
Are you sure?
I know. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around, guys. There's more show coming up. Hey, Dan.
Hey.
So when you watch porn,
And I do.
yeah. Do you ever watch porn like with your partner?
I have done.
You have done, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you ever
Have I ever had a third party
has
in
there
the
ever
room?
been
Is
a
that what
third
you're
party?
asking?
I was about, and I'm like, oh shit, maybe maybe that's not the right
Yeah.
question.
Apparently there has been, whether I knew about it or not, and we're going to learn all about it. This is a okay. I'm going to paint a picture because I don't want to just play this audio
Okay.
without people knowing who Todd White is.
Okay.
So I need everyone to imagine a garishly ugly, 1,000-colored Hawaiian-style short-sleeved button-down shirt.
Now, what if I actually like those shirts?
You don't like
just
this one.
insulted me, Dan.
You don't like this
Garishly
one.
ugly.
Yeah, and I'm still painting. I'm
Okay,
still-
okay, sorry.
Let
Let
me
get
the painter
out of
paint.
your way. Let me get out of your way.
I need you also to imagine. This is an over tan but still white guy. I mean, his name is fucking Todd White for crying out loud.
Okay.
But that doesn't stop him from having an enormous mass of dreadlocks coming off of his head.
Oh, boy.
Which in this case are pulled into a very large sort of hornet's nest behind his head.
Okay.
And if you catch how he's walking around, he's in those shoes with all the with the individual toes. Those barefoot shoes.
Oh God, I hate those. They give me the heebie-jeebies.
Anyway,
I don't know why, but I just I don't want to see your toes. They're supposed to be in shoes.
That's the guy who's talking. Now we can play the clip.
Like, well, Lord, to be transparent, I got news for you. Nothing's hidden. He sits in the theater room of your soul and sees everything that goes across your screen, guys. Your whole pornography thing, you think like no one knows it? God's watching it with you. He waits till you reach climax. God, if he only knew me. If he only knew me. If he only desired to know me, I would be his climax. He's not mad. He just sees it. He sees it. In the frenzy and in the heat of a husband that is cheating on his wife. He sees it. He's right there in bed with you. He's right there in bed with you and he's seeing it all. He's watching it. He is watching you look into the woman that you're not in covenant with. He is watching through your eyes, through your frenzy, through your passion, through you thinking that that's your life. And he is all the while in your heart saying, this is not who I created you to be. But through the frenzy of human wisdom and selfish ambition, people are like, I don't like this. Well, do you think he does? All the while in the heat of that moment where you're in, you think it's okay because your wife doesn't know and you've chosen to because she doesn't treat you right. You're not getting what you think you need. You've chosen to go, maybe the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. And God is saying, if you would just water your own lawn. People don't like it when I talk like this. I don't care if you do or not, really. I love Jesus. I love him.
He's in the bed with you, Frank.
God's so dirty.
God is a perv.
he's
He's like a mega perv. He is watching all of our porn. Get your own porn, God.
Yeah,
Jeez.
seriously. Like,
I mean,
I'm kind of actually surprised. I didn't think God would watch porn.
Oh, really? Why do you think he made us? I think we are porn for him. That's the whole point of us. That's why we make porn, because we were made in his image. And he's a porn freak.
Oh, God, it's amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
He is a porn freak.
And he likes to be in. He's like Jerry Falwell Jr. He likes to be in the room when you're having sex with
he
somebody.
likes to look through your eyes. My God, that's hot, right? Like that's wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
It's POV porn. That's what he's into. Oh my goodness. Well, there you go. God's the creepiest. He's just the worst.
God is a creepy God.
It's so true. All right. Well, we had some folks write into us. We talked about a couple things. We talked about churches and church houses and what we want to do with them, and we had some folks write in with that. Michelle wrote in, I was reading about a local church in Oklahoma that was being sold, and a couple bought it, and they were turning it into a wedding venue.
Okay.
And are making sure that there are no restrictions on any kind of ceremony you want to have. It can be religious, secular, or whatever you want. Huh. They are doing it because they wanted a secular wedding ceremony, but they loved how a church looked as a venue, and it was hard to find both. Oh. Anyway, it seemed like a cool business idea.
That's actually kind of brilliant.
I think so.
Because you're right. Like we're conditioned, right? You can try to reject the conditioning, right? Of like, this is what a real wedding looks like, right? But we are conditioned by through every movie we've ever seen. Yeah. Probably a number of weddings that you went to, through your life. Right. And there is a nice church, and we've talked about this a lot on the show actually, that a nice church, a nice building, a beautiful building is...
By which you mean not a Mormon church.
Not a Mormon church at all. There's something about it that can be very inspiring and very awe-inspiring, right? Yeah. And so to have your special day in that kind of setting, that's so to do. I hope they found a nice church and not a used LDS chapel that was just on the market.
I hope it is nice, and I hope that they do a lot of gay weddings there, and I hope and I hope it pisses off the former congregation to no end.
Oh, I love it. That's great. Yeah, cool.
Eric also wrote into us, "Hey guys, you said to tell you any cool stories of how old churches had been repurposed, and I have a doozy that is right in line with what Dan wants." A few years ago, my wife and I were friends with people who run a burlesque group. They would have rather legendary after parties after their performances that everybody wanted to get an invite to. We got invited to our first one, and all we were told was, meet us at the church, and were given an address. We showed up, and sure enough, it was an old church. It had been purchased by a rather well-off couple who converted it to their home. They had converted the chapel into a dance room with a stage and disco lights and huge speakers. I even saw it with a pole installed one year for pole dancing. They loved karaoke and had an amazing system there. Due to its location, we could make as much noise as we wanted. No neighbors would hear. They also had a private courtyard in which they had put a killer hot tub, an above-ground pool. And since it was private and the couple were swingers, the pool and hot tub were clothes optional. Anyway, that sounds fun.
That sounds way fun.
That's exactly what you should do.
Yeah.
Have swinging parties or whatever. And one more about that. So I just listened to the podcast from this weekend. I'm Dutch. This is from Robert. Okay. I'm Dutch, and although I live in New York City now, when I still lived in Amsterdam, there was a church on the... Okay, you're going to make me say it? I'll try. Haarlemmerstraat. There's a lot of double... You have no idea how many letters are doubled in that.
How many A's there are in that?
Yeah, exactly. Haarlemmerstraat, where rumors had it, there would be BDSM parties in the basement every week.
Okay.
figured that tidbit would make you guys happy.
Nice.
So there you go. People are out there doing the Lord's work. I like that. The other thing that we talked about was we put a call out for people to talk about good groups that were doing good works out there in the world that were atheist or run by atheists, or you didn't have to worry about them being religious.
Right.
So Shannon wrote into us to say, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I heard that you were interested in hearing from some atheist organizations who are doing good stuff in the world. This is not specifically labeled as an atheist organization, but it is run by atheists and doing what it's doing based on the principles of humanism rather than being driven by religion." Isn't humanism a religion? I don't. Anyway, we'll just glide past that and move on. The organization is the Neighborhood Garden Project, and it just got up and running officially this year. Hell of a year to start something. Yeah, right? Good luck, you guys. Anyway, my husband and I started it out of the need we have seen for folks to have access to free local food, as well as the knowledge to grow and produce food themselves, or for themselves, their families, and their communities. It was very interesting to be building free food gardens for folks in the community this spring while the grocery stores were being emptied.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So they have, that sounds great. They've got a GoFundMe. I think we're going to put that link into the show notes, Frank, if you'll work that in.
Oh God, let me make a note.
Yeah, make a note for that. And yeah, good job, everybody. Thanks, Shannon, for writing that in. We also had Brandon write in. "Hello, I'm a big fan of the show. Last week you asked if anyone was involved in an atheist group who was doing good in their community. It may not seem like much, but I've started a humanist organization in my community, and we're just happy to exist. We are in a very read, Bible-loving community, and people don't take kindly to us. Maybe next time I'll write in, I'll be able to tell you about a huge community service project event we are hosting. But right now, just being able to provide a community for people who don't fit in with our religious neighbors is a big deal to us."
And that's huge. Yeah, that's great.
It is huge. And I'm proud of you for doing it, Brandon. Way to get out there and make something happen. And I encourage that kind of behavior because I promise you, you're not the only person in your community who feels the need for
Absolutely.
it. One more. Sarah wrote into us. She is the co-founder and director of the atheist community of Polk County in Florida. She wrote in to say that due to COVID, they created a coalition of organizers called It Takes a Village to Fight Food Insecurity. But because of COVID, we didn't want people coming and going in a storefront type pantry. And we know many people are unable to drive, to travel, or to get to food banks. And there are a ton of migrant families who are afraid to seek out traditional services for Trump America reasons.
God.
So we designed a weekly no-contact delivery program. We're the fourth largest county by area, so it's a lot of ground to cover. Sarah says, I wrote about it in more detail for the Foundation Beyond Belief, which is foundationbeyondbelief.org/news/it-takes-a-village. And am happy to chat with anybody about what we're doing if they want to replicate it in their own area. So go look that up. You can find them also at polkatheists.org.
That's great.
Congratulations to all of you guys. Thanks for putting that stuff out there into the world. That's
awesome.
good stuff.
And then, Dan, we have some people to thank.
Oh, my favorite time of the podcast, y'all.
We have some new patrons on Patreon. They went to thankgodimatheist.com and followed over to Patreon. We have two new deacons, Dan.
Ooh. Hello.
We have
well done.
Robert and Caitlin. Thank you to the both of you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And then we have a new priest, Dan.
Oh, well done.
Fuck the Texas. Sorry, Texas, but thank you.
Fuck you, Texas. I mean, we've met some lovely people in Texas, and we've had a good time in Texas together, you and I, but a couple times. But yeah, kind of fuck Texas. That's true.
Oh my God. Anyway, so thank you very much for signing up, guys. And of course, we always have our top donor, our Lord and Savior to thank. Davis!
Praise be.
Dan,
Hey.
so something has happened in these United States. We
A lot has happened in these United States.
I think a lot of us were noticing a lot of our neighbors sort of losing grip with reality over the
Oh my God.
the past decade. It seems to be really gearing up and picking up steam. This like just conspiracy theories have just become a regular part of like of people's lives, and more people are stumbling into them and have these.
I mean, it seemed silly at first.
Yeah.
It was just every now and then you'd stumble across somebody who was a flat earther, and you'd just be like, "Oh my God, that's nuts!"
right, or freaking out
And
about
yet-
chemtrails, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Or something like that, and you're just like, "Oh, these guys," or somebody's like still a Bigfoot person or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think here's I have a personal theory, which is that we had, I don't know if you remember this, it was 300 years ago, but we had a black president. And a whole bunch of racists lost their goddamn mind for 8 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely apoplectic about this black dude who was like, who they, in their minds, is like this communist, far left radical leader who is
This moderate centrist president.
oh my God, right of center by any other world standard. But yes, yeah, this guy was so crazy, and ever since then, once they really truly lost their mind, they were primed for someone to step in and just push the crazy button. And that someone is Q.
Yeah.
QAnon, and as the name implies, is an anonymous. We don't know who or what this is,
Or how many people.
or how many people are involved in this. It's just someone who goes and posts in 4chan and all these sort of crazeball online places and claims to be, an insider. They're deep in the government.
Right.
They have Q level access to, so they know, this is better than far beyond just, secure, top secret clearance.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're spilling the real truth. And at first it was just this sort of nutball thing. We all remember this. There was the whole Pizzagate thing, right?
Oh my God.
Where QAnon was saying that there was this huge conspiracy by Washington insiders to traffic children for sex trafficking and other things, and boy, it gets nutso. But this was a pedophilic trafficking ring run by very powerful, all Democrats, mind you, in Washington D.C. And he labeled this pizza place, this ping pong pizza place, and it all culminated when a young guy went in who believed it entirely and was going to put a stop to it, and went into this pizza place.
A sincere young guy. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've seen the video, like his goodbye video, right? And
that he did before
did
he
you
went?
see that? Have you seen that?
No, I've never seen that.
It's worth watching because it's really easy to demonize this guy. No, he was duped. He was a true believer in this thing, and
he was going to put a stop to something purely evil, something genuinely evil.
Who isn't against child sex trafficking?
Right.
Like,
because they had all been fed this story that there were children chained up in the basement of this thing,
Yeah.
and people were going in and ordering a pizza and a kid and driving out of there. And he went
On special just tonight, pizza and a kid, $20.
Yeah, exactly. So he was going to solve it. He went in with an AR-15 and a handgun, and he shot a few shots.
Yeah.
And then, demanded to see the basement. And just like in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, there's no basement in the Alamo. There wasn't a basement. It was. So, this, if anybody was thinking rationally at all, that would be the moment when, QAnon's fake.
Right. Yeah.
But guess what? That's not how conspiracy theory minds work. All counter evidence is evidence for when you believe in a conspiracy, and it's just getting worse.
Yeah. Well, and now there's this phenomenon, and there's been a slew of articles in various publications over the last few weeks talking about this issue of evangelicals falling prey to the QAnon conspiracy theories. And I read this article that they were talking to this preacher in Oklahoma, and he was telling the story of some parishioners of his who had left, and he went and talked to them, and he's like, hey, you've been part of our community for so long, what's going on? And it became really clear to him right away that they had gotten into QAnon conspiracies. And so he started calling around to other, colleagues of his other pastors. And they all were reporting the same kind of thing, right? These people had been coming to my church for 5-6 years. All of a sudden they've up and left because of this weird conspiracy theory or set of conspiracy theories. And it's and so what the fuck is happening where people are leaving their religious communities because they're putting more trust in this conspiracy theory, right?
Yeah.
And they're finding more meaning in the conspiracy theory than they were getting at their old church.
Well, you and I were talking earlier, and all new religious movements tend to have a charismatic leader at the center of them. Mormonism had Joseph Smith. I don't know how charismatic he was, but Scientology had L. Ron Hubbard, whatever. This charismatic leader, nobody, even his or their or her followers have no idea who this person is. That's the shocking thing about this, is that they are just all in. All the chips are on the table for this cult leader who has not yet revealed their identity. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like we are now really getting to see what a digital age, the rise of a new cult or movement or whatnot in the digital age, what that looks like, right? Because it's you knew it was going to be something new. You knew it was going to be something. I honestly thought it was going to be some 16-year-old, posting on Instagram some nonsense, right? But
those are out there.
And those are out there. But I thought it was going to be a personality that people really somehow connected to through the internet, right? But
and what's amazing is that it's
not that.
It's devoid of personality.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of personality.
Yeah. Everybody gets to create their own idea, right?
Right.
Which is even more powerful in a really sick way.
It's amazing. And I think the powerful thing that you mentioned, the crazy thing is, it's more real to them than Jesus. This is more important to them, more real to them than their belief in God, because they're doing awful things in the name of this Q thing. Yeah. They are being hateful, horrible people, and it's funny because every time I read a study about or an article or a journal and a scientific paper about what's going on with a conspiratorial brain, there's this thing about people want to feel like they have special information. People like to feel special, like they know something that other people don't. Yeah. They've got the insider information, and it's become such a part. And this is also a very American phenomenon. This is like the American thing. But I mean, now it's gotten so out of control that it's getting more and more mainstream.
I know.
You've got these people. You got the people that made the Plandemic documentary, making claims about COVID-19 that they couldn't possibly be made. And again, it's just conspiracy theory nonsense, and it has millions of views. And sure, some of that is like people like us watching it, sort of with our eyes wide in horror.
But that's not that's not a huge percentage.
No,
most people won't watch it. Right. Most people will shy away from it because, I mean, I have no stomach for it. I mean, you actually can't count me in that because I'm so mortified. I often just have to turn the other way. But nonetheless,
but now now what's happening is that it's actually like, so now it's taking over things like the QAnon followers are really focusing again back on the trafficking children thing.
Oh my God.
And they're getting it wrong. Yeah. And the problem is that they're getting it wrong in a way that's actually really hurting the people who are actually doing the work to stop the child trafficking.
The actual child trafficking.
Because the truth is, what child trafficking actually looks like is that someone in a child's trusted circle of adults is taking advantage of them and grooming them and then doing horrible things with them. That's what child sex trafficking in the United States actually looks like.
So it's not dungeons where their blood is being drained so that wealthy Democrats can drink it and
Hollywood elites. Yeah, exactly. And that's what these people are imagining, is that there are massive rings of traffickers that kidnap children, lock them into a dungeon, and then trade them, pass them around to each other and drink their blood for the adrenochrome and all this stuff. And, they sell them on Wayfair as a, you know what I mean? Like this, it's like all of this is crazed and it's insane. And, Wayfair has a dresser that costs more than somebody thinks it should cost. $10,000 dresser must be a kid. Must be that they're actually selling children. But people are believing it. And the thing is that non-Q believers are believing it. Because here's the thing. You don't want to be the guy who says, no, I don't want to help trafficked children.
Right.
Nobody wants to be that person. And of course you don't. But the thing is that there is not this giant global cabal. And that's the other thing. We have to get to the point. We have to also acknowledge that this is deeply, deeply based in racism and anti-Semitism. Yeah. All of this is funded by George Soros and the Rothschilds, which is always just code for Jews. It's the Jews,
right?
And then and of course Obama's doing it because he's evil, and the Clintons are deeply involved in it. But who's not involved in it? Any of the Republicans.
Isn't that convenient?
So there you go. The global cabal, which is another code for Jews, is conveniently and safely not their guys. None of their guys are involved.
Well, and
regardless of the fact of the number of photographs of Trump gleefully clutching Jeffrey Epstein and what's his name?
Right.
What's his girlfriend's name?
Just
close to him, arms around each other. Yeah. that doesn't count.
Right. Far more suspicious than
exactly.
anything that they've dreamt up. And that's, I know it goes without saying that there's like no evidence for what they're asserting, right? But that's the scary part for me is just this, they think it up like people like Alex Jones, right? They hear some news, say they see some headline, right, that they don't like, and they just think up a conspiracy, right?
Oh yeah, they just spin a yarn.
They're not even like they're not even like the crazy person with all the pictures on the bulletin board and the yarn connecting all that. They're not even like really connecting anything. They just spit it out. There was actually a really good was it Frontline, right, on PBS that delved into Alex Jones. Totally worth a watch if you haven't seen it. And they highlight that fact of just essentially just watching him come up with stuff on the fly.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like, how do you really think that when educated people assert something, right, or people who have researched something are making an assertion of some kind, that they're just coming up with it, that they haven't done homework, that they haven't really legitimately looked at real facts, right?
Right.
Like, their facts are people's, is this person over here just saying it, right?
Right. And if you're not, and the followers, the listeners of these things, the people who are born again Q / Infowars / whatever followers, they're not fact checking these people. No. Or if they are, they're doing it within that bubble.
Right.
So they're bouncing new ideas off of each other. And that's the other thing, is that, Q says something, and then their echo chamber bounces it back and forth, and suddenly it's not just this pizza place, because the whole Pizzagate thing just started with, when WikiLeaks, somebody hacked into John Podesta's email.
Right. Yeah, that's an amazing story.
And he just started, they noticed that he emailed about pizza. This, the pizza place actually, the owner let Democrats have events there, like fundraising events. Yeah. So they kept talking about pizza. And suddenly, like, people are theorizing that, like, has anybody thought of maybe, what if pepperoni pizza means a boy and pasta means a girl and blah, 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 and they're just riffing. And then it just becomes a fact that they all know.
Right. It's insane. It's disgusting, awful. And that's what we're contending with right now in this country.
Yeah.
Right?
And meanwhile, the people, Donald Trump is like, he doesn't disavow this.
No, he's dialed in. Like, he loves this shit, right?
He loves it. And people, you'll see people with Q shirts wearing a MAGA hat.
Well, and we're
all
going
of his rallies
to
have people
members of Congress, Dan.
Yeah.
That, like, there's a woman in Georgia, I think, that got through the primary in a district that she's guaranteed to she's going to be voted into Congress this fall. Right. She is she's a Q believer. She's totally into
At which
QAnon.
point she will have more access than whoever this Q person actually has. So she'll be able to confirm or deny, but she won't, because that's the thing. Because
she's going to go looking for it.
And the whole problem here is
pissed off when she can't find it. But
it
won't make her not believe it.
No, the whole problem here is this isn't just a political thing. This is a religion. People aren't looking for evidence or real answers. They're looking for belief. And they love their belief, and it is a part of their identity. It is who they are. Yeah. It's not what they think. It's who they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't, by the way, go to any of these 4chan boards or 8chan. No, don't. Anything with chan in it. Avoid chans.
18chan. I do kind of like 19chan.
19chan was fun, but I still avoid all the chans.
Are there more than one chan? Are you? I've never heard
there
this.
actually is.
There are?
There actually is an. Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's. Oh my gosh, you guys. That's the other thing is that if you have relatives that believe this stuff, do not go to them and try and talk them out of it with like sense. Do some research on how to extract how to deprogram a family member from a cult, because that's what you're going to have to get to do.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm not even kidding about that.
Yeah.
That's not a joke at all.
Yeah.
There is literature on how to deprogram a family member from cult thinking, and that's where you're going to have to go. And if you can't get it, you've lost them for a while. So there you go. Great news for America and for all of us. It's a wonderful time to be alive. If you would like to write to us and tell us either A, that we're being horrible and that Q is real and we need to wise up, or talk to us about how your family member believes that, feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. And if you like what you hear on the show, please go to our website.
You should. You've listened to the whole damn
And
episode.
you'd like to support us, please go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. You can also just go over and write a review of the show on whatever platform you get the show from. That's a great way to help us out as well.
Go to all the platforms, write reviews, say we're amazing. Lie to the people and say that we're the best thing out there on the market.
We're pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, thanks so much. Go to facebook.com/TGIAtheist and click the like button. Do that.
And while you're on Facebook, also find the TGIA Members Only Lounge by searching for it. Or Dan, how do they find it directly?
It's facebook.com/groups/TGIA.membersonly. So you can find it if you can follow those instructions. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
And a big thanks goes out to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And a super big thanks goes out to all of you for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.